let's go to yesterday, Sunday. We saw little Mahomes and Josh Allen yesterday. The Bills, though, taking care of business in the regular season. Bills hold off Mahomes and the Chiefs, 28-21 the win. Mahomes finished with his worst completion percentage, 44.1%. The first time he's ever finished a regular season game completing fewer than 50% of his passes. Of course, a lot of credit goes to the Bills defense, who picked up 3 sacks, 15 hits on Mahomes. They made him uncomfortable all day. But Dan, did the Bills prove they are the best team right now in the AFC?
Yeah, if they're playing at home, absolutely. The reality is this: if the Bills can get the 1 seed, make everybody go to Western New York, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. But that's their only shot. The next playoff game that Josh Allen and Sean McDermott win on the road will be their first. This group's as great as Josh has been at times. He's never run a playoff road game. And this team is constructed like you watched yesterday in that football game. The main difference between Josh Allen and his offense at home is they gather all the information. They know exactly what the defense is doing. They get to kill you. On the road, it's different. That's why yesterday's game is such a big deal. Now they got 2 huge wins versus what we think are 2 AFC legit contenders in Kansas City and Buffalo. So if the Bills can find a way to get the 1 seed, and it's still a road, they got to chase down New England and Indianapolis, they'll get to the Super Bowl.
Get to the Super Bowl.
Well, I think I'm going to pull a Stephen A. real quick as far as jumping to conclusion. Yesterday's game didn't matter more to me, more than we've seen this story play out before. We've seen Patrick Mahomes lose to Josh Allen in the regular season.
Right.
And when you see an alarming statistic that all of Patrick Mahomes' wins versus Josh Allen happened when?
In the regular season.
In the playoffs.
Or in the playoffs. Patrick beating them, yeah.
Correct. So for me, I'm looking at yesterday's game, and it gave me one type of optimism, is that they are capable of winning these type of games.
Right.
Now, to your point, Danny-O, is obviously we want to see, can they do it on the road? They're a completely different team on the road than at home. And also, when you start to say, for Kansas City, it was a little questionable that the receivers wasn't getting as open and having Patrick to have as many completions that he did have, and he lacked on that.
Well, since we're here, I think the first thing that's most important to say is this. You talked about the Buffalo Bills and how they win at home.
Yeah.
That's not the Cowboys who usually lose at home. So let's just get out that way. Let's just get out that way first, okay? That's what they usually do. I'm talking about playoff time. You know, they're usually down the block, and you got people in this beautiful, immaculate facility. It's off the chain, and you got people that show up here whenever they get a chance to show up here in January, and they leave here crying because their team disappointed them. That's what we're used to, okay?
Yeah. The Bills don't do that.
The Bills don't do that.
Fans don't do that.
The Bills don't do that. The Bills don't do that for the most part. But they have lost at home to Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to overblow this. Best team in the AFC, hell no. I'm not going to say that. Disappointed in the coach yesterday. We'll get into all of that.
Yeah.
Denver is balling. We'll see what happens. Look at this guy right here. See what they're trying to do with my hairline?
Oh, that's not
see that?
nice. That's not nice.
Hey, man.
Listen.
Hey, man.
It's hilarious. That's hilarious.
You gotta flip it. You gotta flip it. You gotta flip it. You gotta flip it.
There you go. That's not nice.
No. You can't sit in this seat. You can't sit in this seat and not take it. Damn it, I might look that way in a few years. I ain't there yet. But I am chasing. I know I'm chasing George Jefferson. I know it, okay? But I'm holding on, y'all. I'm holding on. Here's the deal.
Looking like the dad from Family Matters.
That's still not a bad-looking brother. I'm
Big
still
guy.
good. You know what I'm saying? I'm still good.
He's
I'm
got
still
the
good.
cowboy hat on.
Here's the deal. You know what I'm saying? So here's the deal, y'all. When you look at the Buffalo Bills, you can't say they're the best team in the AFC. We can't say that yet. Colts was a disappointing yesterday, but that's an aberration.
So who's the best team in your eyes?
I think when you look at the Colts, I even think Kansas City, because they're 4-0 against Buffalo in the playoffs. Playoffs ain't here yet. I don't care what happens. Yes, this is a regular season game. Okay, that happens. Denver, the way that they're looking, I mean, we got to pay attention to all of that. So I'm not willing to give them that. What I will say is this: give them props, because Kansas City has had a psychological edge on Buffalo because of what they've done to them come playoff time. Anytime you get an opportunity to get your hands on Kansas City, if you're Buffalo, if you exploit that opportunity and you take advantage of it like they did yesterday, then that's a plus. But it's still, if they face them in the playoffs again, do we think that Patrick Mahomes is going to complete less than 50% of his passes? No. Do we think that he's going to go 3 straight incompletions to end the game? No. Do we think that?
Yeah,
we know better than that. We know better than that.
And this is why yesterday matters. If Kansas City has to go to Buffalo in the playoffs, you think they can win, right?
Yes.
If Buffalo has to go to Kansas City, I don't think they can. That's why yesterday matters so much.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying they ain't the best team in the AFC, number one and number two. You don't know if they'll lose in Buffalo come playoff time because of the psychological advantage Kansas City's had.
They didn't lose at all last year at home, Buffalo.
No.
They've lost once in the last 2 years at home.
I'm talking about, do you have total faith that they would beat Kansas City at home with Patrick Mahomes on the opposite side of the sideline? I'm saying I don't believe that. I don't know that.
If this Buffalo team is healthy and they're at home, I would take Buffalo.
If anybody could do it, Josh Allen could do it, but the other parts that work with him, you know, you got a cat like Kane dropping the ball right through his hands. Anything can happen with these guys. You got to
Buffalo
pay that.
matches up well
That's what
versus
I'm saying.
Kansas City. They don't match up well versus like an Indy or New England who want to pound the football, or even Baltimore. But they got to be at home.
When you look at the dynamic, Buffalo Bills were built to beat Kansas City.
Correct.
Right?
Justifiably so.
Unfortunately, I don't think that that's going to be the matchup that we get. You got an Indianapolis Colts team that had, you know, one of their worst performances all year. You got the New England Patriots, who I do want to believe in Drake May.
Yeah.
Right? But his postseason credibility is still something that has the biggest question mark of them all.
Because he hasn't been there.
Correct. You got the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix.
Yeah.
You have so many different options that can hang out. You got Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. So many different things that you got to come to the realization, okay, best team right now, it could be anybody. But I don't think that there's another team in the NFL who wants to play the Kansas City Chiefs home or away.
This is the 5th straight time Buffalo has beaten Kansas City in regular season.
Yeah.
You have any idea how psychologically debilitating it is to beat a team 5 straight in the regular season, but when it counts most and you one and done and the playoffs are on the line, you lose 0 for 4. You lose to them all 4 times. Think about that for a second here. You beat them 5 straight. Kansas City could have walked off that field yesterday, looked at Buffalo and went like this, same old, same old. We'll see y'all come playoff time. They could have done it because history has shown they got your number when it counts most. That's all I'm saying. Can't ignore that.
Look, at the end of the day, what this is going to come down to is what happens in the postseason. And that's unfortunate for both of these teams. They can be good, bad, doesn't matter who they play when they play against each other. That's the most important. During the 4th quarter, while the Commanders were down 31 points, he is scheduled to undergo an MRI today. Anyone that watched that injury knows, though, it cannot be good. Head coach Dan Quinn talked about why Daniels was still in the game when they were down so big at that point. Listen to this.
Was there any consideration to not having Jayden go in for that series in which he got injured and having Marcus finished out?
Yeah, not at the space. I mean, obviously, like the hindsight, you don't want to think that way where, you know, an injury could take place. You know, obviously we're more conservative in that spot to, you know, run and hand off and not have reads to go. But just the end result, Mickey, honestly, I'm bummed.
Now, look, we could debate this back and forth all day, but Cam, I'll go to you first. Do you think Jayden Daniels should have been in the game at that point of the injury?
I'm going to teach you something real quick, Shae. We got a song in our culture that is like, why? It's so many whys in
know
what.
that song.
You do?
Yeah.
I see you. So for me, one of those things definitely got to come to Dan next. The thing that I'm asking myself, if I'm Dan Quinn, why do I need to prove it this way? You had a bad game. It happens in the NFL. Okay, Jayden Daniels is not only coming off of an injury and have been plagued with injuries up until this point. You find ways to give him reps in other aspects. Live reps is there's no way that you can emulate that. But having him in the game with so much to lose and then that happens, that could be a firing offense in most cases. But obviously Dan Quinn is in a different type of situation.
This is a disaster in Washington. And the whole year has been a disaster. Go back to the start of training camp and this ridiculous holdout with McLaurin. And then McLaurin doesn't get the reps with Jayden. Guess who's been hurt all year? McLaurin with the soft tissue injury. Jayden Daniels, this is a warning shot to Washington. I got a lot of love and respect for Dan Quinn and Adam Peters and all. This is a warning shot. This dude has been hit 322 times since the start of last season. That's the most in the NFL. That's over 12 times a game. Y'all got to stop playing with this young man. They got to stop playing this style of football. And I understand it's a little bit on him, and you can speak to it greater than I can. It's a little bit on him. But 12 times a game, I grew up in an era where, like, you wanted to get your quarterback hit. Never. Never. You paid guys hundreds of millions of dollars.
Constantly in the shotgun. If I know that,
so, like,
certainly the other team knows.
But this has been a mess in Washington since the start of the training camp. And that's why they are where they are. They continue to call man coverage when they can't play camp. No, he shouldn't have been in the game. It's 38-7. And you surely aren't having him carry the football. This is a damning moment on this organization that a year ago was on a rocket ship. Everything was riding high. And since then, since that loss in the NFC title game, it's been question mark after mishandling, after just kind of this steady decline. And this is a bad sign for an organization that was headed in the right direction.
Sacked 4 times last night. He's been sacked 17 times in 6 games this season. Missed a few games due to injury. Came into the pros having an injury history. You know he's slight of frame. You know these kind of things. It's 7 minutes and 39 seconds left, and you have him out there trailing 38-7. The game is clearly over. Why are you calling that play? Why are you doing that?
Why is he in the game?
Yeah, I understand that. But even if you're in the game, hand the ball off, throw the damn football. But what you don't do is put him in that kind of situation. If he can't get himself right, he's going to come into the season compromised. So he comes in, he gets injured again. He's missed a few games. You got now you got Jayden Daniels out. You see other guys like Noah Brown and others who have been out. You look at them and you want the Washington Commanders, and I haven't heard anybody say this. These brothers I'm not talking about the players, I'm talking about organizationally. They were feeling themselves. Last year, you in the NFC Championship game, you exceeded expectation. So you say, you know what, we got the rookie quarterback, but Lauren is not that priority. Yeah. We got this going on. No, Brown might not be that priority. You're looking around and you're wondering, what the hell are they thinking? It's a moment to capitalize off of by elevating your level of seriousness and intensity and in focus, etc. They haven't done that. They have failed as an organization this season. And this latest decision by Dan Quinn to have Jayden Daniels in that game at that particular moment in time is the latest nugget of intel that shows whether the word is tone deaf, whether they're just not on top of their game, whether they're just letting things fall through the cracks. It's just the latest evidence that's what's going on in Washington.
If I could push back a little bit
on
this.
Please.
The thing is, though, this offense has not looked right since last season, and we know that. So maybe Dan Quinn is in there trying to figure out a way to get this guy a little bit more rhythm, get Jayden Daniels going, get a few quick completions, build up the confidence. This offense hasn't looked right all year. That is the garbage time touchdown. I don't care. Not that they were going to win the game, but just to play devil's advocate.
But Shae, he has an injury history. He has missed time this year.
Exactly, though. That's my point. They haven't had time to build rhythm.
We always say that at the end of games, like, let's get some momentum going. It don't really matter. There's 7 minutes.
It just made me laugh about Shae saying that because we kind of know her a little bit, right? Even though it's your first day full on the job, you know, you've been here, you've hosted on several occasions. You kind of know Shae, right? She's a mother. Could you imagine her kid getting hurt? and some coach has him out there down 38-7. You'd lose your mind. And I'm saying to you, your coach has to think like that from a business perspective. This is not a good business decision to jeopardize the face of our franchise this way. Live for another day. And he didn't do that.
So I'll give it to you on a different front because hindsight's 20/20, right?
Of course.
So you look at a deal of why coach will want him in a game like that. He's chasing reps. He hasn't had the opportunities as most quarterbacks has had those opportunities this particular year. So if I'm Jayden Daniels, if I'm Dan Quinn, and you say certain things like, why is he always in the shotgun? Something's happening.
Herb's here.
Playmaker.
Why is he still in the game? Well, when you're talking about offensive coordinator and you start to see his style of play, he's not going on the center. Cliff Kingsbury, that's what I'm searching for. Cliff Kingsbury is not going on the center. There's other ways that you have to start saying, and the coach used to always tell us this, every season is a new season. You don't get the opportunity to start from where you started from that last season. And we're seeing that roll out for the Washington Commanders, unfortunately.
But that's not what the Washington Commanders did coming into the season.
Correct.
That's my point.
That's why
they didn't have that attitude.
It's been handled. There's 2 things for me. One,
last word.
There's some quarterbacks you have to use in a certain way because it's their only chance for success. Jayden's not that guy. Jayden doesn't need to be a runner. The second thing is Washington has to change. They have to. You can't just continue to play with fire like this at that position and think you're going to be the one guy that gets away with it. Just because Lamar has doesn't mean every quarterback's going to be Lamar.